WCS America round of 16. We're live from New York City with Group C. Hero, Scarlett, Revival, and Suppy. This is match 1 of the night. Hero versus Scarlett. Hero currently up 1-0, playing a dominating game 1.
Absolutely spectacular with the tactics, the army movements. Scarlett looks so strong against that early 2-base push.
Yeah.
Then Hero's like, okay, I can't take her out now. I'm a little bit behind because I took the third so late. All I'm going to do is just play perfectly, and then, like, I'll just win.
Yeah, I'm just going to play perfectly.
Yeah. It's a really good idea.
Hero's a guy who can say that. You know, kind of remind me of that, the parting game on Akalon Waste against, was it Life? Remember, parting was so far behind because some link pressure, and then he had to have perfect micro on Akalon Waste.
That was so. I think no, maybe it was Life. Shit. I think it was. I think it was. Exactly. I think it was. It was one of those two.
You remember the game, though?
Yes, I do remember the exact game.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers do as well from WCS Korea. Definitely check that out. But it was a situation where I was watching the VOD and I watched like 4 minutes of it. I'm like, all right, he's dead. I'm going to the next game. And then like the casters were talking about how he won it. I'm like, wait, what? So I had to go back and watch, and he just played absolutely perfect micro. That Hero reminded me a lot about partying in that game. Just perfect micro, perfect force fields. Just great overall play in that game to take down Scarlett. We'll have to see what happens here. The bottom of 10 location of Neo Planet S. Currently up 1-0. He's 1 win away from advancing to the winners match of this group. Representing Team Liquid, he is Hero. There he is. His opponent, the top right-hand location, Neo Planet S. Opened up last game fairly strong, but fell apart to the phenomenal play of her opponent. Hailing from Korea and representing Team Acer, she is Scarlett.
Neo Planet S is one of those maps that it's really fun to watch games on because it's just keeping track of your opponent's army is so insanely important on this map because if you don't and you're guarding, you know, like the bottom passageway to go over the top, you get caught out of position and you could lose the game to a bunch of ducks.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we saw with Snoot versus Alicia on this map.
One of those maps that's also pretty receptive to, you know, potential base trade scenarios, or at least those moments where you have to make a decision, okay, do I commit to this or do I back up and defend? Because, again, there's 2 main attack paths on this map, at the top and at the bottom of the middle. And, you know, you always have to keep a watchful eye. Hold on a second. Hero has a forge in his base.
Wow. But he didn't full wall it. Oh, no, this could be disastrous for Hero.
Oh. Wow.
Oh, there he
Ninja
goes.
Probe.
I can't believe Scarlett sent that drone out after it got inside the cave.
Yeah.
That's actually I mean, that was her game, and she just a little bit of a mistake there. But going forward, can she break this?
Another probe coming forward, insurance probe.
Oh man, I think this is the hatch cancel, and you know, Hero's committed enough to this.
3 pylons. Now, the cannon, will it finish before the hatchery? Yes, it will. So the cannon will finish, and then Scarlett can decide to cancel the hatchery.
And then the second cannon, well, I assume the second cannon will be canceled.
Yes, the second cannon should be.
I feel Hero might have committed enough to this that Scarlett's actually ahead, as long as this hatchery doesn't get cannon rushed.
Speaking of which, probe lurking in the darkness. There's no drone anywhere close to the hatchery.
There's an overlord coming, but that's going to take a little while to get there. There could be a wall with a cannon behind on the way. Zerglians would probably get there in time at this point, so I'm going to be okay. Hero, actually, his Nexus is still not done because he knows the pool time. He had to get the cannon at the front first. Scarlett has got to be probably happy, actually, with the way this game's gone out so far.
So, can you talk a little bit about PBZ in cannon rush situations? You know, at what points, as a Protoss and as a Zerg, what makes it worth it? You know, what are both players thinking as these situations happen?
So there's a couple considerations, and really you just have to think, okay, how much have I lost and how much has my opponent lost? And if you just look in pure monetary resources, Hero's lost more, but he's gained his position, right? And these pylons are also useful. So, and Scarlett, of course, has lost Larva from having a hatchery there. But one thing I think that some people overlook and they overestimate the power of cannon rushes, and that's kind of why we don't see them too much anymore, is because losing that hatchery represents, it's maybe like 1/3 of Zerg's production capacity, because they still have the main hatchery and they have a queen out. So they can still produce drones very fast with just a hatchery and a queen, as long as they get another base up relatively soon. But if the Protoss delays their Nexus, they're losing exactly half of their potential probe production from delaying that Nexus. So I feel that actually, as far as workers, you can potentially sit that Protoss down a little more than a Zerg, depending on how many Zergans are forced out and things like that.
Now, Scarlett killed the probe and immediately put down two gases.
Very smart. Very smart.
Do you expect to see a roach push here, or are we just getting...
I think
Where does Scarlett go?
it's a situation where her production can't quite keep up with her economy.
Right. Because normally, like, Zerg players might wait a little bit longer until they get a little bit more drones out before throwing down those gases.
They normally would, but this is kind of a little bit of a weird game, and they're not even that super early. I mean, she was at 40 food,
yeah,
which is one of the standard times. There's a couple times, but she was at 40 food, but everything was a little bit slower because of the opening, so it's hard to tell exactly her thoughts here. Going for lair before Zerging speed, I love it because she knows that she had an Overlord in Hero's base, and she knew that there was a Nexus put down before Gateway, and so Hero's tech is like 2 minutes behind schedule. I mean, if you're doing like a robotics or a Stargate, often you throw that Stargate down like 5:20, 5:30 with this type of opening. Whereas, you know, he's actually just going gateways.
4 gates plus 1 weapons. And he's still got a pylon there at the natural of his opponent.
This is something Scarlett has to keep an eye on. But, you know, this Spine Core will kill this pylon before Warp Gate completes. Or shortly there, before a warping can really happen. I don't see him being able to use that pylon, but he does have a pylon over here at the top.
Very close to that base.
And Scarlett, no Roach Warren. Just going straight to Hydras. But with good creep spread, Hydras can kite Zealots forever. She just has to survive to get the Hydras out.
Warp Gate's about to finish here.
Maybe I overestimated how fast that pylon... No, I think the pylon should die fast enough. It takes 10 seconds additionally to turn gateways into warp gates.
They're now getting converted. This is going to be pretty close. The pylon is still... No, it will die. 4 Zealots being warped in at the top, though. Right near that hatchery. And
when will Scarlett see this?
There's no attacking units on the field here from Scarlett, barring a few Zerglings.
She may have to lose this hatchery. May. Oh, she's built 5 drones, too, because she didn't see this coming. She didn't know about the hidden pylon. This is going to really be uncomfortable for her.
Speedlings coming forward here for Scarlett, trying to deal with this, just trying to buy time at the very least. Got some Hydras in production. 2 Stargates on the way from here. The drones running around, trying to avoid getting hit. The Zealots kind of walking around a little bit, so it's not like they're hitting too much stuff right now. But more Zealots walking in here. Again, they do have that +1 weapons upgrade. And now we have 8 Zealots and a Mothership Core applying aggression to this hatchery. I think it's definitely toast.
Hatchery is gone. Of course, Scarlett is not going to be too broken up about losing that hatchery because she has basically your natural will be your new 3rd base, and that's halfway done already. And Hero, of course, is still on 2 bases. As long as she doesn't lose... Actually, she already forced a Time Warp out of the Mothership Core, and that's big because without a Time Warp, how do Zealots fight Hydras on creep?
I don't know if it's possible as long as the Zerg player can kite well, which Scarlett definitely can. You know, Zerg's going to be just fine, and now Zealot's going to be running back towards the top left-hand location, but the Hydra's in hot pursuit. And this isn't necessarily a terrible situation here for Scarlett. Here we're going straight into exclusively Phoenix production. And when you're doing that against Hydras, that can be a little bit dangerous.
I think he has to catch her off guard. If Scarlett is too aggressive with the Hydras and gets caught with small groups of Hydras being isolated and defeated by Phoenixes when they're caught in small groups, that's how Hero can really turn this game around. But in the current situation, if she can scout and identify the mass air transition, she's going to be in great shape because she knows Heroes is on 2 bases. I mean, she has speedings at every possible expansion.
It's really cool from Hero adding on another pylon there at the top. So Scarlett, when she killed that, she thought that was the pylon that started off that aggression. But Hero still has that pylon on the high ground, and that could be a very effective way to harass as the game continues forward.
Oh, the probe died. That's always so annoying.
Yeah.
Now he has to send another probe in.
And now Lings are going to be watching over that. Lots of Speedlings on the ground here from Scarlett.
Hero is going to have to get some massive work done with these Phoenixes. I still think Scarlett has no idea about them, which is really good for Hero, because if she doesn't commit enough to Hydras, and
so many Phoenixes.
Yeah, let's look at the unit count right now. So it's 14 Hydras versus 10 Phoenixes, but there's 12 Hydras in this army. 10 Phoenixes can actually beat 12 Hydras, but they're not going to be super cost efficient. He's coming in right now.
Oh, here the Phoenix is come, picking up those Hydras one at a time. Again, Phoenix is very good against Hydras because Hydras are light units, but Scarlett desperately trying to target him down, and it looks like she's barely going to have enough to cause those Phoenixes to back up a little bit. More Hydras, more Lings in production here from Scarlett. Immediately placing down a Spire as well, so might try to go into Corruptors a little bit. Mothership Core getting targeted down here at the third base, and it's going to fall. Hero bringing down a lot of Zealots here to try to deal with this.
Hero can definitely take out this force. Very few units from Scarlett. She realizes that she's in full retreat. The Phoenixes they want to pick up the Hydras, but they want to make sure the Zealots are nearby to help protect them.
Now, Hero's still on 2 bases, and Scarlett is approaching 4. So that's going to be a little bit worrying. So, you know, the Hero's going to have to get that third base down fairly soon, or he's going to be very committed to this 2-base economy and infrastructure.
It looks like he wants to make it happen right now. Zealots, of course, with +1/1 upgrades. No upgrades for Scarlett on the Zergling, so it's going to really be down to these Hydralists. But she's already picking off a few Zealots here right now.
Yeah, of course, Hero's trying to run. I mean, if the Phoenixes were here, it'd be a different story because I think he could start isolating some of the Hydras. But Scarlett doing a great job pursuing Hero across the map. Doesn't want to directly engage the Zealots with the Lings because, again, it's 1-1 versus 0-0. But the longer she can delay the progress of the Zealots, the Hydras can start catching up and doing that oh-so-important damage. Hero coming back in with a lot of Phoenixes, a lot of Hydras on the ground, though. These Hydras now have +2 weapons. They're going to do a lot of damage, but Hero's still trying to get as much damage done as possible.
Scarlett was microing very well. They're making sure the Hydras targeted the Phoenixes and not the Zealots. Of course, the Zealots are much less valuable to the Protoss, so you'd much rather kill a Phoenix than a Zealot.
11 more Hydras in production. Scarlett's drone count, 56. Not a ridiculous amount of drones, but she's mining 6 gases. Interestingly enough, not really mining much from that natural expansion.
Scarlett really needs to prioritize denying the Protoss third base. She doesn't have a full 3-base economy herself. She doesn't have the super cost-efficient Zerg tech units, so she wants to kill this base. But there's so many Zealots, and there's nothing in front of these Hydralists. I'm a little bit worried. As long as she stays on creep, though, she may be okay.
They do have charge. The Hydra's going to try to kite backwards. The Phoenix is picking up so many Hydras trying to prevent Scarlett from retreating. Hero with a great engagement here, and again, charge lot so effective in this situation. Again, forcing the Hydras to kite. They can't just straight up run it. The Phoenix is picking up as many as possible, but Hero running a little bit low on energy, so might be backing away.
But he took out a big chunk of the Hydralists and with minimal losses of his own. But he's so far onto creep, and Hydralists on creep are faster than his army, so he's taking a few losses just trying to retreat.
Is getting that third base up on the ground, and at this point, I don't think Scarlett has enough to necessarily be aggressive. That great force fields here from Hero, isolating a ton of those Hydras. More Phoenixes coming in here, and Scarlett once again losing so much of her army. Gonna back away again. A Spore Color in production. Meanwhile, we have a Zealot counterattack at the top side of the map from that pylon from before, and Hero looking in great shape in this game.
This is kind of funny. This cannon here is still alive.
Still alive, unpowered, able to provide some sight.
So Scarlett's just continuing to make pure Hydralists, which is going to be problematic because, as you pointed out before, she doesn't have many drones at this third base. Or now she does, but she doesn't have many drones at the main base. It's basically not fully saturated 3 bases, only 58 drones. Equal economy Hydralists really aren't always the best option.
She hasn't been able to get that critical mass where you can like actually straight up engage what Hero has been throwing at her. Hero's always had a nice unit advantage, a lot of Phoenixes overhead, plenty of Zealots on the ground. But I feel like if Scarlett can get enough, it's going to be a fantastic situation for her. I thought a Temple Archives was building before, and now it's building again. Hero's actually making his second Temple Archives.
He does have one already. You know, it was one of those situations where I think he was building it, and then he got sidetracked and having to warp in a ton of units because Scarlett was pushing towards him.
Yeah.
And then he forgot he had it because it kind of messed his time up. He was planning to transition to add Storm earlier. And if he gets a Storm, this pure Hydra army is going to be in for a rough time.
Pretty cool style here from Hero, just going for absolutely mass Phoenixes. What move does Scarlett need to make here? I mean, how does she properly adjust to what she's seeing?
Well, there's 2 ways to really hard counter the composition that Hero has. One is to get a whole ton of roaches, to make sure the Zealots can't touch the Hydralists, and then the Hydralists can deal with the Phoenixes typically. The other way that's even more cost efficient but requires a little more gas, luckily Scarlett does have enough gas to afford this, is to add in Infestors. Of course, if you can fungal the Zealots, keep them off the Hydras. If you can fungal the Phoenixes, both those units are just so worthless that they can't have their mobility.
Zealot still wailing away at an extractor in the north side of the map. Scarlett still at 54 harvesters, working on pathogen glands, trying to mix in those infestors. But Hero has Storm on the way and making a lot of high Templar. So I feel like that's going to be very dangerous as this moves forward. One Phoenix, two Phoenixes getting taken out there.
I think Hero was hoping that she'd send like 5 or 6 Hydras to kill that one Zealot. And then, of course,
pick him up.
Yeah, we just kill 5 or 6 Hydras and get a lot of free kills. But Scarlett making sure to keep her army together so they're not vulnerable. Ooh!
2 more Phoenixes getting taken out.
This is actually getting a little bit...
I think that's about 6 Phoenixes total getting taken out for free there in the last minute or so.
It is getting to the point in the game when the Phoenixes aren't worth quite as much because the Hydra counts are so high, if you try to fly in, they'll just die instantly. So, like you're talking about that critical mass, I think the Hydras have hit that unit count where the Phoenixes really aren't worth that much. But
they're kind of trapped too.
Yeah, and actually, the Queens have 7 range against air, so they're able to they're huddling together. But every time they huddle, they start naturally spreading out.
Hero having to focus a lot of APM trying to keep these Phoenixes alive.
Oh, Fungal could actually be quite useful against those Phoenixes.
Meshes are out.
Is she going to use them?
Also, some Zealots heading to that base at the north side of the map. Behind this Hero, still accumulating a ridiculously large Zealot, High Templar, Sentry army. 5 Corruptors in production, which should be able to deal with those Phoenixes once and for all.
I'm a little bit worried for Scarlett as the Templar count is increasing, and also Hero is now going to Colossi. The good news for Scarlett is going to be hard for Hero to get many Colossi out because he's so close to being maxed, as his bases are starting to run low on resources as well.
Corruptors being sent forward, one getting very low on health, but Scarlett microing that weakened run away. Fungal going down on the Phoenixes, and all the Phoenixes are going to fall, but as you said, going forward, not too big of a deal as Hero has a ridiculously large Zealot Sentry army and a bunch of High Templar in the mix as well.
Creep is going to be so important. On creep, the Hydras can kite very well, and they can even try to outmaneuver Storms, but as Hero kills the creep tumors and fights on receded creep, all of a sudden Sty Storm becomes much, much, much more potent.
Look out for the feedbacks on the Queens and the Infestors as well. Scarlett backing up, going to start setting up a concave here. More Zealots being sent to that north hand location. 4 Swarm Hosts in production. The Mothership Core getting taken out by the Hydras, by the Corruptors, but the Zealots going to be charging forward here from Hero. Scarlett throwing down the Fungals. That's exactly what she needs. Great concave here from Scarlett as well, but here are the Storms from Hero melting away a lot of the Zerg army, but it looks like Scarlett might have enough.
There's just too many units. The Fungal is so critical in basically keeping the Hydras alive.
More Storms going down onto this army. A lot of Hydras melting away. The Swarm Hosts now being added into the mix. Spine Crawlers and Spore Crawlers being added as well. And Hero is going to have to back away. Great hold there from Scarlett.
That was beautiful play there. The perfect concave. As Hero came up that choke, the Fungals landed when his units were clumped at their basically most clumped area. The one thing Scarlett has to be careful of is while she can take a composition like that where it's very Zealot heavy, Hero's adding in a second Robo and trying to add up the Colossi count, and that's really going to round out his composition.
Another engagement's going to happen fairly soon. Infestors don't have too much energy here.
Oh, with the Swarm Hosts, Hero just can't do anything.
Yeah. Look at the... Can we appreciate the creep spread right now, though? Look at these creep highways that Scarlett has set up. It's very nice indeed.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because Hero needs a 4th base. If you take a look at his bases, his natural is going to be mined out in just a second. And 2 Robo Colossi keeping up with Templar production and your basic gateway units, he can't do that off 1 base. So he needs an extra base, but where is he going to take it? There's creep absolutely everywhere. I mean, like the bottom right actually might be his best option.
and we've seen Hero's forte has been positioning his army, and now every time he moves, Scarlett is going to know, so she should be able to properly address it. But big engagement going to happen here on the middle right-hand side of the map. Fungal's going down onto the Zealots. The Swarm Hosts dropping those Locusts as well. High Templars throwing down the Storms onto the Hydras. Hero doing so much damage with the Storms, but does Scarlett have enough? Still 2 Archons alive, 3 High Templars as well, 6 Hydras, 2 Swarm Hosts in production, and 4 Swarm Hosts are still alive here. So she is going to hold this off, but taking a lot of casualties.
The Swarm Hosts are, I think she can afford casualties. Well, I don't know, can she? It's hard to tell because her 4th has been really not mining. It's been under constant harass.
She's got 25 drones.
25 drones against 58 probes. The one thing is that those 58 probes, right now they're mining, but as that natural mines out, Hero won't be able to use that additional worker advantage he has.
So it's another situation where as long as Scarlett, from here on out, can keep those very expensive units alive, the Swarm Hosts, the Infestors, she's going to be in a solid position. She just has to make sure not to get caught off guard by the unit movements of Hero.
And the creep spread helps so much with that.
Does
she have energy?
I don't know if she has energy.
No energy quite yet.
Locust being sent forward to try to deal with this. The Swarm Host going to back away. So many Archons, High Templar here. The Corruptors taking down the Mothership Core. Scarlett trying to preserve the life of the space. The Archons are so strong here, though. The High Templar don't have quite enough energy for Storm, but not a lot of units here for Scarlett. Again, a situation where she has to be so cost efficient with the one she has, and she's going to lose this base at the top.
It's a very important base for Scarlett. One thing she has is she has this Observer hit squad that's very useful in keeping these Swarm Hosts alive. Hero now realizing, okay, I found one base there's no creep at. I can go ahead and get a fourth, and he needs to defend his fourth base.
Am I completely blind? Where have the Colossi been?
You know, that's a good question. Maybe he just couldn't afford them. It looks.
Has he made one? Did I miss a big?
He researched Thermal Lance. I'm pretty sure. In fact, we can see it in the upgrade tab. There is a Thermal Lance upgrade, so he has that. But he's kept feeling a need to deny her bases because he hasn't been able to get a fourth of his own, and I think because of that, he was weighing his decision. Buy a Colossus that will take a minute to produce and another 20 seconds to join the battle. Can I wait 90 seconds to attack? And I think when he saw the Swarm Host, he felt the answer was no, he couldn't afford to wait that long, and so relied on Warpins instead.
Very close game here. Either play can still win. If Hero can secure this base at the top left, he's going to be a very happy camper indeed. Scarlett still trying to deal with all these Zealots that are patrolling across the map. Another army heading to the top, making sure that hatchery isn't there. But Hero does maintain that supply advantage, 117 to 89. But as long as Scarlett has these Swarm Hosts, and as long as she's cost efficient with them, she's not out of this game.
Hero is very Zealot heavy. Fungals and Locusts are great against Zealots. Can she get one more Fungal to Archons?
Gotta Fungal the Archons, keep those in place. Some Zealots getting taken out, and Scarlett will take that. One Archon getting very low, but he is gonna stay alive. Meanwhile, some Zealots attacking that base, the middle right. Great play here from Hero. Again, recognizing where his opponent's army is and then attacking in the other location. The Hatcher getting very low on health, but it is going to survive. And the Zealots, they're going to survive as well.
Hero playing a beautiful game, and over the last couple minutes, one thing to notice is he's been doing a great job in clearing up all the creep on the map. I mean, there's still
a Fungal hitting the Archons. The Locust need to go right now.
Locust.
I think there's another Fungal. There's the Fungal. And the Locust could take out all of these Archons, but they're a little bit too slow, and Hero's just going to back away.
Hero playing the mobility game so well, distracting the Locust over here and then again attacking at this base. Actually, Scarlett figured him out and left a couple Swarm Hosts to defend that location.
Okay, but Hero is able to get that base up in the top left. Look at all those probes that are mining there. Mining plenty at his bottom base as well. Swarm Host a little bit vulnerable here on the right side of the map. The Archons and Zealots coming forward. Scarlett needs to drop those into the ground and send forward those Locusts, but every time she does that, Hero's just backing away his units.
She's got to kill the Observer as well. Great force shields by Hero.
Fantastic force shields. He's going to isolate this base in the middle right.
Hi, Observer. The base's eyesight. His army's going down here. That hatchery is almost surely going to fall.
It's so low. Only 2 Swarm Hosts here to defend. Again, no Observer here, but all Hero wants to do is target down the hatchery, take it down, and then back up. And he can just retreat down the south, or even to the west.
If Scarlett can identify that top left base, I think she still has a decent shot at winning. Although now there's Void Rays in production, those are going to be very difficult to take on. A very intelligent move by Hero, knowing in a low econ game, your opponent's going to have a very difficult time developing the counter units to beat even just a couple of Void Rays.
She has 3 Changelings up there, but hasn't really run them up into that top left-hand location. I mean, I feel like she's seen the probes transfer across the creep, so I feel like she does know about that base, but there's a difference between knowing about it and then being able to deal with it. We have plenty of Swarm Hosts here, but again, as you said, the Void Rays are going to start being mixed into the play, and I think that's a great decision from Hero. Scarlett needs to come up with an answer to those.
She has to take out this top left base. I don't think Hero can defend it right now. He has to wait until the Void Rays get out, but I think he's mined enough at this point that he could probably be happy. Oh, if he's going to wait for Locust to go and then try to ambush a Swarm Host, a very intelligent play. But Scarlett's going to back them away, knowing that's a possibility.
Yep, just sending that Locust wave up there to try to deal with that. Targeting down the Nexus, great play there. But now Hero has the Void Rays in play, has a bunch of Colossus here as well, and he's trying to posture across the map, looking for those Swarm Hosts. So Archons and High Temp are getting caught off guard. Storm going down onto the Locust, but the rest of Hero's army coming forward. The 4 Void Rays are going to be very strong. Another Fungal going down. And I don't know if Hero has enough, or Scarlett has enough to engage this just yet.
She has absolutely 0 units in this competition to get in there. Well, she has 3 Corruptors, but I don't really count them. They're not very effective.
She's killing the Observers, though.
A very smart move.
So obviously, if the Observers can't see the Swarm Host, how do the Void Rays kill the Swarm Host?
Another Observer. That's what Hero's gonna have to get. Hero actually assumed his base would die, so we pulled the probes out. Scarlett is now trying to take this base, and she's got it up. Oh, but
The Voider's hitting right there.
if that base goes down, she won't be able to have the income to build up anti-air. She's trying to go Infestor Queen, which of course is the best anti-air you can get, pretty much.
Such a crazy game. The Stormhost having to lift up because the Observer is there. The Voider is doing so much damage. Scarlett trying to add as much anti-air as possible. 2 Queens in production, 2 Infestors. Zealots and Archons dumping forward the Colossi as well. The Stormhost going to burrow into the ground, but the Observer sees what's going on. The Void Rays targeting them all down one by one. The Storm going down as well, and Scarlett losing every single Stormhost. There's the GG. Hero takes the 2-0 victory. And that was a crazy game.
Wow.
I love Neoplanet S.
Hero is truly an absolutely amazing player. I mean, I thought Scarlett had him on the ropes after the cannon rush because if you have to put down as many pylons as he did, you're just not going to be ahead after those cannon rushes. And she had the big Hydra's force, but she never had enough roaches in front, or the Infestors maybe were a bit too late. And once he got the Templar out, his storms, his feedbacks, and then just his mobility plays were so amazing in that set.
It's like, I keep thinking in these games, like, what could Scarlett do differently? And, it's more to the point of Hero just playing these so well, just making all the right decisions. Again, troop movement, I think, is what's truly been characterized here by Hero's play. And in watching that best of 3 against Scarlett, I don't know what's going to stop him from advancing to the Renovate.
He just looks absolutely unstoppable. I mean, even in that second map where she had almost full map vision for most of the game, he was still always able to find angles.
Yeah.
He would just move one direction, distract her somewhere and attack somewhere else, and always not risking his key units, making sure that if he's gonna sacrifice the units to put him in a spot they can't retreat from, it's just a few zealots.
Also being very particular about keeping every unit alive, like really valuing each unit's life. Like 5 zealots attacking a hatchery, but then pulling them back before they die to the Stormhost. And in such a scrappy game like that, where you're both on such low economy, such low unit counts, that is massive. It's so important to keep every single unit alive, and Hero able to make it happen, taking down Scarlett 2-0, which means Hero will be advancing to the winner's match, guys. Stay tuned. Coming up next, it's going to be a best of 3 between Suppy and Revival. The winner will go up to face Hero. Stay tuned.